Welcome to the Wealth Detective Podcast. Are you ready to become your own wealth detective, to find money in new ways and experience wealth like never before? Well, come along for some wild stories that will teach you, inspire you, maybe even shock you a little bit. And let's get ready to build wealth together. Okay, friends, buckle up, because this is an episode you are going to want to listen to. Something that I'm feeling pretty passionate about right now with a really good story. And you're going to want to listen. Okay, if you have followed me for any amount of time, you have probably heard me mention the podcast, The Dating Detectives. You can find it on all the usual podcast places. Anyway, it is absolutely fantastic. I absolutely highly recommend it, especially if you are currently dating, or you have a friend that is dating, or you have a child or a grandchild or anyone that is dating in your life. Okay. I highly recommend it. And I could talk for a very long time on why I recommend it. Okay. So I'm going to share my story, but they recently had an episode out that also just really goes along with this. So I will tie that back in at the end. Okay. So as promised in the intro of the podcast relaunch, you get to hear some wild stories because, my friends, I apparently enjoy learning from experience, and that experience tends to be for a lot of people's great entertainment and learning, because ultimately what I learned from my experience is what I am meant to share. Okay. So you guys are probably like, get to the story, Jamie. Well, you're welcome. I just have to give you a little bit of suspense and some lead up. Okay. All right. So it's tax season right now. Let's be honest. My life, quite a bit of the time is spent looking at numbers, entering data, reviewing taxes. It's just a really intense time. Okay. So I try during this season to get out on weekends, go do some stuff, have a change of pace, a change of scenery, whatever, just so that I can get back, have a clear mind and be focused and, get through tax season and do it well. Okay. So a while ago, I met this guy online and we had gone for a hike and had been messaging and all these different things. We weren't like officially dating or anything at that point, but I had just said to him, I was like, hey, honestly, I would just love to get away for a weekend. I'm cool to drive somewhere. I just want to go explore. I just want to see something new. I just need to get out of Utah for a minute. I'm more than willing to do it by myself, but if you're just crazy enough to do it with me, that would be so fun. Okay. This is not a commentary on Jamie's dating choices. Okay. So that is for a different podcast episode and different times. Okay. Anyway, so he starts planning it and putting it together. And I'm like, fantastic. Mind you, I really did not have a lot of time or energy to put towards planning it or putting things together. And I, quite frankly, even though I am a travel agent and I plan retreats all over the world and I travel all over the world, I actually don't like planning travel. That may be a surprise to some of you. Okay. So if other people are willing to assist with the planning, I am great. If people give me choices and I say yes or no, or what if we look at this option? Okay. But I hate doing the research behind it. Literally, it drives me crazy. Anyway, so he starts doing the research. He comes up with this whole plan. We go, we have some conversation back and forth, and it's like, okay, we're going to go out to Colorado for a quick weekend. We're going to go hiking. We're going to go to these fun hot springs because, you know me, I am in love with hot springs and basically want to visit every hot spring in the world. Okay. So in my mind, I'm like, man, this is like the most magical weekend. Now, up to this point, no money or finances were discussed as far as who was paying for what. Okay. Now, I was going into this weekend with, we're not dating, so we're technically going as friends. So I'm planning to pay. However, if he's wanting this to go anywhere, I would be very open to receiving if he would like to pay for some of it. Okay. So he sent a message a couple days before we leave and was just like, hey, how about we split the Airbnb and we'll figure out the rest later. I was like, sounds great. Just let me know how much I owe. Send me the receipt, whatever. Okay. Now, we did stay in a very cool place, which did cost a lot of money. However, I am all about experience. So I was like, fabulous. That place looks amazing. I want to experience it. So I Venmo him the money. Okay. So becomes Friday. Like, I'm so excited to get out of town. I'm just excited to go on an adventure. I'm excited to get to know him better, all these different things. Okay. So I have a budget in my mind of like, okay, I don't really want it to cost more than X amount, already knowing what I have spent on the Airbnb. Okay. So we start driving. It's about 6 hours away and we stop for some dinner. And he basically was just like, well, no, we actually stopped for gas first. And I said, hey, do you want me to pay for gas or how do you want that? Like, how do we want this to work? And he was just like, oh, it's okay. Like, I've got it. We'll figure it out later. Which, P.S., I hate that answer. So part of me was a little ticked, but I was also just like, it's fine, Jamie. Just maintain your personal power that you're willing to pay for whatever you need to pay. And if he is willing to pay for the rest of their weekend, that would be fabulous. Okay. Okay. So then we stop and get dinner. He pays again. Okay. And he'd already bought the tickets for the hot springs. Okay. So we have like 3 things that he's paid for. Okay. So we get to this Airbnb. I mean, super gorgeous location, super crazy cool Airbnb, like just amazing. Okay. And so we're both like, man, this is awesome, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Now, like I said, the other part of this story is for a different podcast or a different type of podcast. Or if you come to one of my retreats or even a drum ceremony, you'll probably get the other aspects of this story. But all I'm going to say for this podcast is things did not go well as planned that night. Okay. So I wake up the next morning. Now, thankfully, we did have 2 rooms, 2 bathrooms. Thank heavens. So I wake up the next morning and I am like, I need to get out of here. Like, this is not going well. And I really don't deal with men throwing tantrums, period. Like, I just do not deal with that kind of behavior. Now, mind you, there had been no indication that this would be an issue. I was unpleasantly shocked at this situation that I was suddenly in, okay? But here's where this comes, and here's the piece that I want you to take away. Because I have my own money, I had options. Because I had my own money, I had options. So what did that mean? Well, first, I reached out for support, okay? So everyone, have someone in your life, whether it's a friend or a mentor, but someone who can hold space in an appropriate way for big or large things that are happening. Okay. So I reached out and I was like, hey, this is the situation. Like, I just need, I don't know, I just need some support. Okay. So they talked me through some things. We worked, whatever. So she's like, well, is there an airport close by? And I was like, let me check. So there was an airport 11 minutes away. So I searched for some flights. There were no flights leaving that day that I could find. Okay. So I was like, all right, what are my other options? I'm like, okay, I could figure out how to rent a car. I could figure out maybe if there's Uber services up here, I could just say, hey, we need to head back right now, which I've done that before in situations, so I'm just kind of going through my different options. Okay. So ultimately we decide, I decided we were going to stay the one more night because I did want to go to the hot springs. I did want to explore and do some hiking and whatnot. So, and there was some discussion with this person, but ultimately, anyway, so I was like, okay. So we drive an hour into town, and he makes it very, very clear without words that he is no longer willing to pay for anything, period. Okay. And makes it apparent over and over and over. Okay. Because remember, he's pouting. So I'm like, noted. Again, I am so grateful I have my own money because I have options. So I paid for all my stuff that day. Later that night, I Venmo him, repaying him for every little penny that he has paid up to that point. I then pay for the gas on the way home. I actually technically, not that he would ever say this, but I did actually overpay on the gas, okay? And I gave him an opportunity to be honest with me about it and if I was overpaying, and he chose not to be. But again, that is on him. For me, I maintained my integrity and I paid my half of the trip. I got home. I'm safe. He is blocked. We are moving forward. Okay. But here's the thing. The part of the reason, and you will hear me say this over and over again, but one of the biggest reasons I like working with women and money is because when women have their own access to money and their own money, they have options. Whether you are married, whether you are single, whether you are dating, whether you never want to date, I don't care who you are. Every woman needs her own money and access to it that others don't have access to. And I will say that again, and this is a hill that I will die on, even if people want to go against me. Even in a marriage relationship, at least have one account that is yours and yours alone. And you have get out money, okay? Because I am sorry, there are too many stories of people I know and people that I don't know that suddenly something shifts, something changes, and they need their own money. Friends, I work in finance. I see hundreds of thousands of people's finances. We help people through divorces all the time. Women need their own money, period. Can I say this again? Can you feel the passion on this one, okay? Because even if it's not much, it can get you out of a situation. Because let me tell you, regardless of how anything went recently with this situation, I knew that I had enough resources that I could pay him. And if nothing else, I owed him nothing. He couldn't hold anything over my head because I could pay my own way. And I had options to get out because let me tell you, I had multiple ways to get out of that place and get back home. And they did all take money. Okay. Now that isn't saying that, people can't support you and show up and miracles can't happen. Absolutely not. I mean, I've experienced so many miracles with money. What I am saying is have a plan, create a plan. And not because of fear, not because of anything, but to just simply say, you are worth having resources for. You are worth having money that if something were ever to happen for whatever reason, good, bad, right, wrong, ugly, whatever, I don't care. Just have your own money to have your own resources. Okay. And that's what I help women do is I help you create the plan. I help you find the wealth. Literally, I am the wealth detective. I can find money anywhere, my friends. Like, I'm creative as hell with money and it always works out. And it's so fun when I work with clients one-on-one to figure out how to get more money. Okay. So going back to my podcast recommendation, the Dating Detectives. So they just had an episode with a very brilliant woman from Australia. And I probably should remember her book. The Last Victim, I believe is the name of her book that literally is coming out in the US, like March 2026. Okay. And she shared how, this man, well, her story is wild. Go read the book, go listen to the podcast. But ultimately, just saying there are so many unpredictable things. There are so many scams out there. There are so many things that really are trying to deceive us. And when we can listen to our intuition, when we have our own resources, we are better prepared and we can better protect ourselves. Again, this is not to create fear. This is not to put anything into you that to cause any sort of hyper awareness or whatever. But I am wanting you to be aware. I want you to be aware, and I want you to just simply to have choices, to have the freedom to choose. If you choose to stay in a situation, awesome. If you choose and realize you need to get out of a situation, awesome. If you choose to help someone else because they need to get out of a situation, awesome. If you choose to just help someone else because you want to, you will have the money and the funds to do it. I mean, honestly, half the fun of having money is getting to spend it on people or to give it to people. Not that that is a requirement at all. However, it's actually one of my favorite things to do. And it's fun talking to other people that are like, oh my gosh, I got to take so-and-so shopping and just say, buy what you want. Like, these are things that light me up. And I want more women to be able to experience that and enjoy that. So all that to say, do you have your own personal account? Do you have access to money that regardless of what situation you're in, you can make a choice that is right for you and will keep you safe, will keep you protected. And therefore, as always, once you take care of yourself first, it always works out for other people, works out for everyone else around you. So my friends, go and have a beautiful rest of your day and have your own money so that you have choices and you have options. If you enjoyed this episode, there are more tips, tricks, and fun ways to bring in money in my weekly newsletter. Sign up and get all the juicy details every single Monday.